Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Ben, and you're listening to episode 14 of the PB and Gainz podcast. In today's episode, I chat with Meagan Finley. We talk all about Pilates, what it is, why more men should do it, how it's way more than just glorified stretching, and how it can lead to six-pack abs and world peace. And now today's quote from the founder of Pilates himself, Joseph Pilates. And it goes a little something like this: "You are only as young as your spine is flexible." Without further ado, here's Meagan. All right, as promised, sitting down with Meagan Finley, Pilates instructor extraordinaire. That's hard to say. And so we're going to talk all about Pilates, like I said, what it is, how it's good for you, and how it can improve your quality of life. And I wanted to get into Meagan's story because I think it's a very compelling story and one that whether many of us have experienced or we know someone who has. So Meagan, tell us your story.
Well, hi. So I used to dance ballet for a good 20 years. And kind of at the end of that, had a really, really bad injury, kind of messed up my foot, my knee, my hip, my quad, and was pretty much just told that I was never going to dance again, that exercising, doing normal things, lunging would just be really painful and would just pretty much never happen for me. I'd never be able to run, and got into Pilates for therapy, and just really felt like I felt normal. Didn't feel like I couldn't do stuff. It didn't feel like I was constantly having to modify everything for my injuries, and honestly don't really even notice my injuries anymore when I'm teaching or exercising myself, and felt really normal for a long time. And then last year got diagnosed with thyroid cancer and had my thyroid taken out, had a huge tumor taken out, some lymph nodes. They had to cut through my muscle in the front of my neck, and same thing, they kind of were like, oh, your neck will never really feel the same. You can't, planking's going to be really hard. And again, decided that was not okay. So I spent a long time trying to do a lot of ab work without lifting my head, without planking, without putting too much pressure on my arms. And it's been 8 months now, and I'm totally normal again. Feel totally fine. So yeah.
Totally normal is a strong way to describe things. No, I'm kidding.
Totally normal.
Totally normal. And I think that's very compelling, and the reason why it is because most people tend to have something that happens. It might have been an athlete, they might have been very active, then a knee injury pops up, or something comes up and they just give up. Mm-hmm. So whether they do get sick or an actual joint injury, they stop moving altogether. Right. So to be able to progress forward and say, no, screw that, Pilates is my thing, why exactly? I mean, I know you mentioned it was the joint pain or the non-impact to the joints, but why exactly did you like Pilates?
So I think for me, one of my injuries was I just blew up my knee. I mean, I didn't have an ACL tear. I was really lucky, but I had a small tear in my PCL, which is the tendon behind your knee. Medial and lateral meniscus just gone. Ton of cartilage. I think I have 20% of my cartilage left in my knee.
Nice.
So running was definitely really painful for me. And again, just kind of thought, well, not going to be able to do leg work. Lunges hurt. And the great thing, I think, about Pilates is that I can still do all of those movements on the reformer because you can use things like there's a bar, there's a strap, or you can use your arms to kind of help you through it so you can get proper alignment. And I think that's a big thing about Pilates is that we spend so much focus on getting the joints in the right place, getting everything to move properly, and then you kind of notice, wow, my injury is not killing me because doing things properly makes a huge difference. And the nice thing about the machines is that you still get resistance training. So it's not just laying on the floor, lifting your legs up and down, hoping that a muscle appears. The great thing is you get resistance training from the bands and the straps and all of the springs. Mm-hmm. And you still get that feeling of, if you love that burning sensation when you work out, you will definitely feel it when you do reformer Pilates.
And so looking at the difference between, say, floor and the reformer, that's going to be your biggest thing is the resistance aspect of it all?
Right, yeah, still get resistance training, which for a lot of people, they're like, I'm not building up any muscle. I feel better with floor Pilates, but, they feel a big, huge difference in their core most of the time, but they don't always feel like, they're really getting any muscle definition, or they don't feel like, if someone really is trying to work on making a stronger quad muscle or stronger hamstring, they just don't feel like a lot is happening. And so, it happens a lot quicker with resistance training. And it's good also, obviously, for joint health and bone density, all of that makes a big difference with resistance training.
That's huge. A lot of the clients we see, especially a lot of the clients that are in our Pilates classes, typically are women. They're going to be women that are, from 30, 40 up. And so resistance training becomes huge from that standpoint of bone health, like you just mentioned. So the reformer aspect of it is going to offer that feeling of I can do this, I can still get the benefit of the resistance training, at the same time improve my life, I'll feel better and all that good stuff, versus having someone just go and deadlift 500 pounds.
Exactly.
Which is all we do here at Avenue. So that's it. If you can't do that, get out. I'm totally joking. But I think to look at that as it's an important marker for us to talk about, because when I say like most of the ladies most of the people that do these classes are ladies, men are very intimidated, especially like I can turn around behind me and see these look like torture chambers or some very odd personal implement that you might have in your own home, like 50 Shades of Grey type stuff. But like that, you look at that and that's what I see, and that's what I know a lot of guys see. It doesn't have the big barbell, doesn't have the weights, the dumbbell, very intimidated. So what would you tell a guy who's going to come at you and say, Pilates is not going to give me the gains or the benefit that I'm looking for?
What I say to that is, do you like planking? Do you like lunging? Do you like squatting? Do you feel like those things help you when you go to a gym? If so, I promise you will notice half those moves we do in here. It might just be done a little bit differently. Mm-hmm. So we'll be on the reformer and we'll put our hands on the part that slides back and forth, which we call the carriage, and you'll have no springs on, and it's basically like doing an ab roller. Only thing is I'm going to sit there and make sure that your spine does not move at all, and that you're breathing really deeply, and that everything is perfect. And it's honestly, I think once a guy comes in and takes a class, I've had so many dudes that come in one time and they're sold. Because it's hard. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you do things properly, it doesn't matter if it's personal training, yoga, whatever, you do things properly, it is 10 times harder, other than just throwing something around or just squatting and jumping, I think that's the biggest thing for guys, is really just trying to get over themselves a little bit.
True. Realize
that just try something new. And if you really are, which I think a lot of people experience a lot of back pain and they just kind of ignore it. Mm-hmm. Most of the time it's just a weak core. Mm-hmm. You just work on strengthening your core, stop crunching so much. You do a roll up and stuff like that. It's completely different from just sitting there crunching your neck up and down. Yeah. And I think that's why I teach so many planks. And a lot of people are like, I've never planked so much in my life. I'm like, well, you stand up straight, right? Why not work your core while you're straight? It just seems to make a lot more body sense than laying on the floor and lifting your head up and down and hoping that some abs appear.
Yeah, that was always that was probably the biggest change I made when I started here at Avenue, or Westview at that time. But I used to have my clients do a lot of lying, crunch-like moves. And so when I came here, Brent, one of the first things he says, we don't have our clients do any type of crunching movement. And I was like, well, you guys must be way behind the times. But as you start kind of digging a little bit deeper into it, like you just said, you can't just expect to move up and down, mainly moving your neck, and expect for abs to show up.
Yeah.
Because our body is designed to keep us upright, not hunched over like Quasimodo. So that's key. And I think being able to get over yourself is a challenge for anybody.
Absolutely. I have 20-year-olds walk in here and they're like, I do CrossFit. Is this going to be hard enough for me? And I'm like, again, just give me one class.
Yeah.
And every time, once they're sweating and sliding off the mats and almost in tears by the last plank, then they're like, I'll be back next week.
Yeah, it's that one, that first hit. That's all it takes. That's all it takes.
Just got to get you in here.
It's like cocaine. In a plank.
Pilates is totally a drug.
Pilates is totally. There's you a T-shirt. We just saw the you guys can order those at avenuefit.com. Probably not, but eventually. So I think a basic understanding of biology and physiology comes into play, obviously, with Pilates, because you can look at, like you just said, being upright, being able to have a strong core is key. Outside of core, where do you think the biggest improvement people can see by doing a Pilates class will come from?
I think honestly, posture is the biggest thing that I notice. The very first thing I notice with clients is that I think because the workout is a little bit different, there are a lot of Pilates teachers who might teach classical Pilates where you lay down majority of the class, but that seems completely counterproductive to me, because that's not how normal life is. We don't lay down all day, hopefully. And I think so I teach a lot of my classes with a lot more movement. We'll lay down, we'll stand up, we'll lay on our sides. So I really try to get whole body movements, moving in all different directions, because that's life. That's what we do. We twist and get something out of the car, and then we strain our back. And my goal is to help people move properly, try to get all different positions so those things don't happen to you. So you don't step improperly and twist your knee. And I don't know, I think that body awareness is a big thing too. People tend to notice that when they're walking around their house, they'll notice they're kind of like sticking their gut out or swaying their back. Like, my God, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And I think, hopefully with other workouts too, people notice a difference in their body shape. But I think for me, the biggest thing to work on first is your posture. Because I don't care how many planks you do. If you do it with a hunched back, you're going to build some weird abs and some weird back muscles. So I think posture is key, first of all. And I think that's what people tend to notice most, at least with my classes, because I think I focus so much on it. We will stay in this position and you will hold it until your shoulders are down, your abs are in, butt is squeezed tight, and you feel, you should feel normal in those positions, which probably don't, but
Yeah.
hopefully.
Posture is huge, and as you kind of said that, I feel like I need to sit up a little bit more. But it's that the word, the buzzword, functional type movement.
Yes.
I think it's overused, but you could easily see how it would correlate over into Pilates class. Because I've sat in our kitchen and Pilates class, our joint, so I can see inside and see how all these different clients are going through these movements, and you can definitely tell, where you get that postural element to it, or you just completely suffer and get that Quasimodo element. So. It's key. So that's probably not a sexy thing you tell someone, like, oh, it's going to help your posture.
No, and I usually don't lead with that, honestly. I usually just someone will come in, and again, especially guys, would be like, what am I going to get out of this? My wife is making me come take this class. Like, I've been really lifting heavy in the gym, and I always ask the same thing. How do you feel? Does your back hurt? Do your knees hurt? Do your hips hurt? And I always hear the same thing. Well, I'm in pain. Yeah. It's not comfortable. It's like, why would you want to live like that? That sounds awful. Like, don't you want to look good and feel good? I think it's life. Like, you obviously have to live it.
Yeah.
Why not live it in a more comfortable body? And I think that the great thing about Pilates is because I do focus a lot on posture, which completely affects how you sit at your computer, how you sit down, how you stand up, how you walk around. I think that people tend to walk away feeling a little bit better. You're going to be crazy sore, but the next day or two, you're going to be like, oh my God, my neck doesn't hurt anymore. My knee's not killing me. And then hopefully you can take what you're learning in Pilates, and I guess that kind of follows through into your other workouts. So if you are lifting heavy at the gym, that's fine. But as long as you maybe notice, oh yeah, Meagan said don't stick your gut out when you're doing a squat, you'll remember that, and hopefully you won't strain your back.
That's key, because there's a lot of tush talk in here.
There's a lot of tush talk.
Tush gets thrown around quite often in this place. That might be another reason guys feel a little uncomfortable coming into Pilates, but they need to get over it. The postural thing. If you can look at that and see the benefits that transfer over, I think that's a huge question. Is how do you feel? That's incredible, because I had to write that down, because it's one of those things. Most people come work out just because they think they have to do it, or they're trying to just push through something, and they always forget how they feel.
Yeah, because then you leave it and you're like, oh wow, yeah, I did a crazy workout yesterday. I feel horrible. I can't move, can't turn my head. My traps are killing me, which for some reason dudes are obsessed with their traps. I don't know why dudes want to look like the Hulk. I don't get it. But it's uncomfortable. It hurts. And then they're like, oh yeah, I always have this weird pain right across my lower back. And I'm like, well, you're kind of hunched over like an 80-year-old granny. So that might be why. Maybe if you stood up completely straight and you pulled your gut in, you'd feel a lot better.
Didn't kind of lean over like an ape.
Oh, you know.
Yeah. That's
key. Was on the ground.
Exactly. But you got good traps.
These traps are so swole.
Sweet traps, bro. I wonder if Derek's going to listen to this. He's got great traps. An understanding of basic physiology is key, and postural element is huge. And I love the question of how do you feel. I think that's something that most trainers should ask all of their clients, and I think it's something that even as someone who is active, we should ask ourselves: is how do we feel?
Because at the end of the day, what's the point?
Damn straight. That's huge.
I don't get it. I have a lot of injuries, and I've had a lot of surgeries. I also had cancer when I was 14 and got my back cut into, and have this huge scar underneath my left scapula. And before I ever did Pilates, when I was dancing ballet and stuff, I ran. Mm-hmm. And when I ran, I hunched, and my upper back killed me. And as soon as I got in Pilates, I was a ballerina. You should have beautiful posture, but I worked at it because it didn't feel natural. Mm-hmm. And when I first got into Pilates, the first thing she said was, my God, I thought you were a dancer. What is going on with your upper back? And I was like, well, I run, and this is how I stand. And she was like, doesn't it hurt? I was like, well, yeah. She's like, okay, let's fix that. Again, I don't understand why that's not how most trainers lead into a session, because if you don't feel good, I just don't see the point.
Dang, that's huge. That's big. That's big. And
Full of knowledge.
Full of knowledge. You guys should have your mind blown right now, and ask yourself every day before you go into your workout, how do you feel? Because regardless if you're throwing around a barbell, you're going on a run, whatever it is, you're hopping into a Pilates class, ask yourself how you feel, and that can dictate how that workout is going to go, because ultimately that's going to make you feel better. It shouldn't make you feel worse. Even if you are a little sore, that's fine. Those are gains being made. Soreness is good. Now, it's the point you said earlier. If you cannot move and you don't want to move and you ruin the next 2 days, that's not a good feeling. And so moving into like myths, because once again, I'm going to throw in the whole gender stereotype here, is that there's a lot of myths when, especially as people walk by the doors to our classes, they see a lot of women and they're like, oh, this is a ladies only class. You know, it's how do you disrupt that thinking?
I wish that people would just stand. Honestly, we have windows out here. I wish they would just stand and watch for like 2 extra seconds and see these horrific faces they make while they're doing these exercises. And then maybe that would make them think twice about whether or not this is for women. Because I think it's kind of funny, actually, that people think that. Because if you look at these machines, they look horrible.
They do.
I mean, it's intimidating.
Fact.
And I don't know. I mean, if I was a guy, I think I would want to do, I don't know, something different. You want to try something out and you want to see if what can give you bigger gains. I mean, I don't know why we wouldn't look at this machine and be like, this looks awful, gotta try it. I mean, it should be a challenge. And I think that like I said, every guy that I have taught, even if they're drugged in here by their wife, does typically stay. I mean, I've had very few guys walk in and be like, this isn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of the time, it's awful,
mm-hmm.
and they either have horrible posture, a really weak core, because dudes love their arms,
Yeah.
and they forget
Bench
about
day.
their abs.
Bench day.
Exactly. Or leg day. You just squat all day.
Yeah, chicken legs.
I think that it's hard. I don't know why more men don't try it.
Mm-hmm.
I think, honestly, if more dudes were willing to get out of their comfort zone, I think that they would really enjoy it. I think it's the same reason dudes don't try yoga. Same thing. Think it's for chicks.
Yeah.
But again, who doesn't feel better when they've stretched out a little bit?
Yeah.
And actually, it's the same thing with women, though. I have a lot of women who do mat Pilates that are like, I can't do that machine. That's too crazy. I'm like, just give it a chance. Just try something different. Just push yourself a little bit. Go outside your comfort zone. Do something that's a little bit different. And most of the time, people see a difference in their bodies just from doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Everyone should just try it.
Getting out of your comfort zone is a good way to look at it, because even myself, I've often said, especially of late when we started the podcast, like that I was going to come into one of your classes.
Yes.
Still haven't made it in yet. But it is something that's intimidating, because you look in, you're like, well, there's no dumbbell attached to any of this stuff. What am I supposed to do? I usually just come in here and I'll hook a cable up and I'll do some curls or tricep work. I'm just standing there being dumb. But it is something that you do have to get out of your comfort zone. Yeah, male or female, and throw in, because it can be supplemental to anything you want to do. We always tell our clients, crossover, go try Pilates. And I used to tell when I was training, when I first started here, to go do Pilates, because I was like, oh, it's stretching. And you kind of mentioned that just a second ago. And so we'll get into that being like the next myth isn't like Pilates a form of glorified stretching?
That's hilarious.
It is, I thought.
But no. No, actually, I love it when people say that, because again, I can see how maybe you would think that, because there are some stuff where we lay on our back, put our feet to these fuzzy foot strap things, and we make some circles with your legs. But if you've ever done that exercise, you would absolutely know you really don't feel a stretch at all, and it is crazy hip work, because you have springs pushed at the bottom of the machine, pulling on those straps that you have your feet in. So basically, without flexing your muscles, there's no way your legs are going to move. So if you're just stretching, that's just kind of flopping out, right? Instead of just really, with that particular exercise, you got to pull against that tension, pull against that resistance, and squeeze your legs together. So you get a ton of abductor work, so like inner and outer thighs. You get a lot of glute work. You get a ton of core work, because I'm super intense about no wiggling, not letting your hips get all crazy or butt tuck under or anything weird like that. So again, as if you were standing upright, getting good posture while you're doing every single exercise. And there's really not, I do some stretching at the end, because it does feel good, just to kind of, after I've murdered you, just to give you a nice little stretch. After you're tired, you feel like your legs are shaky, feels good to stretch.
Yeah.
But no, I never lead with stretching. I even when I was dancing, we never stretched before. It was always, you warm your body up, you get moving, you get feeling a little good. And once you feel a little bit, your muscles are nice and warm, then okay, you can stretch. But I don't know what the myths are about that right now, about like if stretching should be before or after a workout. But I feel like if you stretch before a workout, it hurts. Like you feel like you can't move. You're like,
you can't. No, yeah, definitely can't.
Your toe and your hamstring won't give. But if you warm up a little bit, you do some leg work, do some lunges, do some planks, your body heats up. Then you go for that stretch and you're like, oh, there it is. Body loosens up a little bit more. And I think that listening to your body is the biggest thing that I try to preach in Pilates. Is if something feels like, oh yeah, I can really feel my hamstring working, that's awesome. But if you feel like, oh my God, my hamstring's about to cramp, just stop. And I think that that's the biggest thing, like I said, that I preach in here, is really trying to listen to your body and really trying to focus on getting your body and your brain to attach to each other and trying to find, we call it like a mindful workout, which I know they say the same thing in yoga too. But it's really just, what you should be doing in any workout is listening to your body when it tells you, this is good, this is going to help, you do it. When your body says, please don't do this to me, this is not good, you're going to break your spine, you should probably stop. Yeah.
And I think using the springs would help in understanding where your body is in space. Absolutely. Because you get that resistance in certain movements. You're like, wait, crap, I should not be moving this way, my legs should not be moving, my hips shouldn't be doing this stuff.
Exactly.
Versus, if you're laying on a bench doing a bench press, whatever it might be, you're not going to get that same feedback.
And I think that's honestly the best thing about Pilates. I keep saying that, but another great thing about Pilates,
number 8,
is that there are rarely exercises where I'm like, this is just for your legs. No, you're doing something with your legs, and I'm over here saying you should not be moving on the mat. Your abs should be flexing right now. Your shoulders should be down. Your neck should be straight. I will probably have something in your hands. Coordination is a big part of Pilates because, again, that's life. When we're all weirdos and we're constantly multitasking, even though we probably shouldn't be all the time.
Right.
But that's what we do. So a lot of times I try to get them to do something with their arms and their legs at the same time. Or, if we're doing a plank on the reformer, sliding the carriage in and out, just bending your knees, focused on your breathing. Again, that's 2 things at once. It's like chewing gum and patting
your head.
Tummy.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that, again, I wish more guys would come in here and really, I think it would be the best supplement to their workouts, because I think that a lot of guys hurt themselves. Almost every dude I've taught has a torn rotator cuff. It's ridiculous.
I have some shoulder injury.
Do you see? It's crazy. And a lot of times they're like, oh, I was lifting too heavy, or I pushed while the doctor said my shoulder was rolled forward. I'm like, well, that's slouching.
Yeah.
So, half the time I think if more dudes tried it out, I think that they notice their workouts would go better, they'd feel better. I think a lot of women avoid Pilates because they think either it's too much stretching, they don't want that, they want some muscles, or they want a 6-pack or whatever. I promise you move your body, you will see a change. It's not rocket science. It's you go into the gym and you lift 2 pounds and you lift your arms up and down 10 times, it hurts. It doesn't even matter that it's barely anything. You can hold your arm up and make little circles and you'll feel something. Just doing something, moving your body, and Pilates is just having me here to poke at you, make sure you do it perfectly, really makes a big difference. I think that every client I've ever taught, whether or not they loved me, at least noticed that they felt a little bit better, posture felt better, they were more aware of their body, and definitely noticed that that probably when they're doing other workouts, they might just be flopping around and throwing weights around and not really thinking about what they're doing. And Pilates can be great for anything, but if you it's great for all that stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah, to wrap that up, it's a great stuff. And just to kind of throw in a line is like, Meagan's clients only have said really, really good things, except for like during a session where they hate her guts. And like she said, she murders them in a session. So if you weren't intimidated before, don't let that stop you. Get into it.
Very pleasant.
Yes, very pleasant, just not in a session. And looking at the movement aspect of it in Pilates, that you can't just take one joint and just isolate it. And I think the whole idea of a bicep curl, while yes, it might look good, and you might mentally be like, oh, I'm doing something great for myself. Muscles don't move in isolation like that. Your body does not move, especially in the game of life, which we talked about earlier. And so talk about the incorporation of your hip into your legs and your glutes and your core into everything. It's so interrelated and connected. You can't just take one and just say, this is all I'm doing today.
And I think I laugh at people who are like, today's leg day. I'm like, that's hilarious. Because when you do quote unquote leg day, how can you even do a lunge without thinking about your core and your posture? To me, that seems crazy. I'm sure to other people, maybe that's not such a big deal. But if you're doing a lunge properly, you shouldn't be sticking your butt out. You shouldn't have your shoulders hunched up by your ears because you're probably pulling on your back muscles. And then in turn, every lunge you do makes your lower back hurt. And then if you're not squeezing your glutes, you're probably making your knees hurt. And I think that there's just a lot of people who go through workouts and just kind of do it. And just, you're hoping for results, but you feel horrible. And I think that if, people tried more Pilates, and I don't care if they did one class, if they learned more mindfulness and just to be more aware during their workouts, I've done a good job. That's all I care about is people to feel better. And if you're going to grab six-pack in the process, why not?
Six packs and world peace. 12 packs and world peace. That is the new tagline to Pilates. So sign up now and make the world a better place. All right, so for the people that aren't here and they can't hop in a class with you, what should somebody look for in a Pilates instructor?
First of all, certifications, which I cannot say that enough. I think that there's a lot of people out there who have done a lot of Pilates and they think they know what they're doing. But to get certified, you have to take anatomy courses, kinesiology courses, and then obviously get certified in the machine. This machine is nuts. There's springs are different colors. If you looked at it...
Yeah, it's a bit much.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know that the long spring is for your legs, not your arms. And you probably hurt yourself if you pulled on that with your arms, unless you're a dude. And the springs on the bottom, there's 7 different springs down there. How would you wouldn't know unless you messed around on the machine forever. But the whole point is certifications first, because like I said, a lot of people are not certified, and you're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
It's a big machine. You just got to be careful. And then I would definitely, you got to take your time, I think, finding an instructor. It's like with a trainer. You want to make sure that you get along with that person. Because if they don't like you or you don't like them, it's probably not going to be a good time.
It goes back to the how do you feel. If you're going to every day walk in and you're like, I cannot stand this person, but I'm going to their class 3 days a week.
No, that's never going to be a good thing. I mean, all about the good vibes, right? You want to
Yeah.
feel good while you're working out. You want to like the person who's training you. Honestly, because they'll probably have your best interest at heart too. You want someone who cares about you. You definitely don't want to go to a studio where there's 50 machines and no one's watching you. And you're just going along and no one cares whether or not you get hurt. I think that the best thing, it's why I think we preach personal training too, is you have somebody focused on you, making sure you're doing it right, you're feeling good while you're doing it, and then you walk out and you notice results and you're not sitting there going, dear God, what did I do to myself? Just,
Yeah.
Find a good teacher.
Find a good teacher, look for certifications, let them talk about your tush, and really motivate you.
Feel comfortable with the poking. Just accept the squeezing, the poking, the hand on your stomach.
Don't file a harassment charge against Meagan if you take her classes. No, that was awesome. I think that was good because for me, I feel motivated. Maybe when you leave, I'm going to hop on the reformer, so I can do it by myself. And then we can get into something. I'll bring Derek over, but we'll do something. I think, it's great. And it's really awesome information. So if you were intimidated about this, do not be. Add it to what you're doing and make it a part of everything because you're training essentially for the game of life. As cliche as that sounds, you have to be able to feel good and do good for your body. And I think Pilates is one of those ways you can do that. So if you are in Houston, come see Meagan.
Yes.
Hop into class with her. Let her figuratively murder you during a class and then talk about how great you are afterwards.
Yes.
And then we'll have 12 packs and world peace.
Yes.
So awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, everybody. That was episode 14 of the PB and Gainz podcast. That was really great to sit down with Meagan and to get a totally different perspective on Pilates. I've had clients rave to me about it for the past 4.5 years, as long as I've been here, to go try a class with Meagan, and I've always said I was going to do it, and I never have. And I had my own, obstacles I presented to myself, like, oh, it's not for guys, it's for, for ladies, whatever it is. And to hear Meagan sit down and chat about it in that way, I have been swayed completely. I was on the fence. I've been swayed. I will try a Pilates class, and I hope it's something you look into as well, that you don't get stuck in the rut of the same programming, the same training regimen over and over and over. Try something different. Get out of your comfort zone and do something that might require some springs and a reformer. And you might get that 12-pack and solve world peace. So on that note, I can't thank you enough for taking some of your time to listen to the podcast. It does mean a lot to me that you guys are able to sit back and comment, and I can get that feedback. And on that note, I would really appreciate it if you would go to iTunes and give us a rating, 5-star, give us a review. Let us know what it is that you love about the podcast and the things that you think could get better. Always working to strive to be better for you guys. So, and the rating system allows, the more ratings we get, the more people get access to the podcast. So it helps us spread our message to help people as much as we possibly can. If you want more help, go check out AvenueFit.com. There is no E in Avenue, AVENU, fit.com for more information on what we have going on here at the gym, Pilates classes as well. And we'll see you next week. Have a good day, everybody.